the stage with the events just about to get underway here, again, with so many dignitaries, and by the way, also with 1,000 people from the public who were just fortunate enough to get those tickets when they were first made available.
Let's take a moment to honor the U.S. Senator here as they bring him into the chamber.
You may be seated. On behalf of the McCain family, thank you all so much for being here this morning as we remember and celebrate the life of Senator John McCain, a true American hero, a man loved by this church, a man loved by this nation and this city, a man of courage, a man of faith, and a man who dearly loved his family. As we celebrate and get into the service, I want to offer you a word of scripture from the Word of God that will bring us comfort. It comes from the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 13 through 14. The Word of God says this: brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him. What a word of promise, hope, and comfort from the Word of God. Let's pray together. Father in heaven, the creator and maker of all things, there is nothing new under the sun for you, Father. You know all things before they happen. And this morning, Lord, we pray for the friends and family of Senator McCain. And we will grieve, we will mourn, Father. But we will do so with a different hope because of the faith he has placed in Jesus Christ. That we can, with confidence, grieve with the hope to know that this very moment he is spending eternity with Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. What a comfort. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 2. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up the which is planted.
I was 28 years old, and I'd only been a public defender as a few years out of law school. And for some reason, John McCain asked me to be his chief of staff when he got elected. So on my first day at 7 a.m., John McCain picked me up at my house. I went to the car, and I said, well, do you want me to drive? He goes, no, I'm going to drive. So I said, well, maybe I can sit in the back seat. I'm no expert on this, but I thought the staff drove. He goes, no, get in the car, boy, get in the car. And for the next half hour, we just talked about the football games the day before and whatever was in the news and politics, and told a few jokes. And it was, at the same time, just really a lot of fun, and also quite terrifying because of his ridiculously bad driving. As we get excited, he would kind of, he drove like this anyway, and then he would get excited and just start drifting off, and I'm like, hey, hello over there. So we finally got where we were going, and I said, oh, hey, by the way, what are we doing? And he goes, oh, I hired the whole staff, and I want you to meet them. I said, oh, okay, that's good. So we met the staff, and then we went back to the car. We got in the car, and all the staff came out, and they were all waving and things. And I said, well, they seem to be very nice. He goes, oh, you're going to have to fire half of them. said, what are you talking about? And he just sped off, and the staff was waving, and about 1 minute later, we went right back by because he'd gone the wrong way, of course. He waved again. And I just say that 2 hours kind of epitomized the next 35 years for me with John McCain. It was at once a little bit harrowing, a little wild, a little crazy, but a lot of fun and the greatest honor of my life. I have people ask me all the time, did you ever know in those early years, did you have a feeling you had someone so special there? And my answer is yes, absolutely. No question about it. And I'll tell you the first time. It was in December, and it was over in my hometown of Mesa, Arizona. We were at a Rotary Club, and I think it was all men at that time. And, you know, these are tough guys and kind of cynical about things, and here's this new guy in town. And one of them asked them, since it was December, he asked them, what about Christmas in prison? And he told them a couple of stories. He told them about one night when he was being interrogated for quite a long time, and it didn't go too well for his captors. They were upset with him. And so they tied him up, and they tied the ropes tight, and it was very painful, and they left him there for the night. And some guard came in who he did not know and never spoken to, and at 10 p.m. the guard walked in and unloosened the ropes. And at about 4 a.m., the guard came back and tightened him up again so that he wouldn't get in trouble. And John didn't know why that happened, but he found out a little clue a couple of weeks later, right before Christmas, when he was standing in the dirt yard, and that guard just walked up next to him. And the guard didn't say a word, but with his sandal, he drew a cross in the dirt. And they looked at it for a minute, and then the guard rubbed it out and went on his way. And it was quiet in that room when John told that. And then he said, you know, on Christmas Eve, we celebrated. And we got together under this bare light bulb, and we sang Christmas carols, and we quoted Bible verses that we could remember, and we told the gospel story to each other. And I guess just that image of this band of brothers together in this God-forsaken place, singing to each other. And there at the front, our guy, John McCain, beaten up but not down, singing his favorite Christmas carol, Silent Night, Holy Night, all is calm, all is bright. Round young virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild. The words seemed so far away from that place, but they leaned on the faith of their fathers, and their faith in each other, and their faith in their country, and their faith in God. I looked out into that audience there in my hometown, and those were some of my peers and the peers of my parents. Those are tough, independent guys. They're ranchers and farmers. There's some cowboys, businessmen, entrepreneurs, and they were crying. Because they saw in John McCain a little bit of what they hoped to see in themselves. They saw in John McCain the embodiment of values that they hoped to see for their country. Over the next few months and years, John got to know this place, and he fell in love with Arizona. He loved the people, our diversity, our Native American community, our Hispanic culture, and he loved the place, in particular, the Grand Canyon, the Colorado River. We floated down that twice together, and then he kept going back and back. He loved it. He hiked the canyon with Jack not that long ago, rim to rim. He loved Sedona. He loved this place. And if John McCain fell in love with Arizona, Arizona fell in love with John McCain. We ran a lot of races here, a lot of elections. He never lost, never really very close. Arizona loved him. We had one little blip one time when he ran for the Senate the first time. He called me on the phone. He goes, well, boy, I think I might have screwed up. I go, what? He said, well, I was talking to these students at U of A, and they said, how come you're the only politician that comes down here? They only go to the retirement places. He said, well, it's because you guys don't vote. Okay? Those other dudes vote like 100%, so you want people to come down here, you need to vote like they vote out at Seizure World. I said, you didn't say that, did you? Because there's this big retirement community called Leisure World in the East Valley. And they weren't real happy with their new nickname out there. So John said, like he always does, he said, okay, I screwed up, let's go. We got to go out there. And so we went out, and I remember we drove in, and there was about a 90-year-old guy in a golf cart right there, and he was giving us the finger. And little did he know, we both said, that's great. We love that. And John was like, hey, good to see you. Good to see you, pal. Thank you, thank you. So he went in, he said, oh, sorry about that, and went to work, and guess what? I think he won that about 85-15 in that election, in that precinct. So we're going to miss so many things about him here in our state, his leadership here on these important issues. We're going to miss his sense of humor. We're going to miss his love of sports. He loved the teams, all of our teams. I mean, by love them, I mean love them, like nonstop, okay? And he loved you guys, Fitz and Gonzo and Shane. He really did. Not a coincidence. He didn't become friends just with the best players, but with the best people. And he loved you guys. But I think we also worry here in Arizona about a bigger picture. And I hope that what he stood for will maybe get renewed look in our country. That's what he would want. He would want us to, okay, we recognize him now, but now let's get to work. And I'm sure the Vice President will talk about John and bipartisanship, but he believes so much that this, in the end, when it's all said and done, this Republican-Democrat thing's not that important, is it? We're all Americans, and you've got to get to the point where we can work together as Americans. His support of the military, I hope you members of Congress will keep that strong. It was so important that he had their backs. And one other thing, John McCain believed in our Constitution, and he stood up for it. He fought for it every step of the way. So he would not stand by as people tried to trample the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, including the First Amendment. And you know what? He believed in the Declaration of Independence. When we proclaim to the world that every single human being is important, every single human being is precious, every single person in this world has the right to live free. Not because the government says so, but because God gave us that right. So John McCain, his entire life, stood by the freedom fighters across the world. He was there. He was there figuratively and literally, by their side, wherever they were, acknowledging their right to live free. It's a long and winding road that took him from that dirt yard in Hanoi to the dirt back roads of Hidden Valley. But through it all, he was resolute. He was courageous every step of the way. And in Arizona, he was our hero. I think you can see from this outpouring of support and love for John McCain that he was America's hero. Senator John McCain from Arizona. He served his country with honor. He fought the good fight. He finished the race. He kept the faith. Now, my friend, we can finish the song. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Amen.
Well, I had the great opportunity of meeting Congressman John McCain in Washington. C. Hallett was back there, and I was visiting, and he said, you need to meet this congressman, this young maverick, full of energy. And I said, oh, yeah? He says, besides, he's going to become president of the United States one of these days, so you need to meet him. I said, okay. So we met in Virginia at my apologies. It was rough getting up here. Alexandria. Cindy and CA and myself, and we had dinner in this nice little restaurant. Yeah, we chatted for a while, and then all of a sudden, with John McCain, you just bond. I mean, there's something about his energy level that goes up. He starts talking, starts asking me about my background. Of course, I, not knowing him that well, asked him about his, and before I knew it, we felt very comfortable with each other going back and forth. So then I got enough nerve to ask him. I said, Congressman, what was it that allowed you to be in a prisoner of war camp? I mean, what kept you together? And he said, well, he goes, you know, most people ask me how they treated me, and obviously they treated me pretty bad. He goes, but he said, one is my faith in God, my love for my family, and my faith in my country. He said, those things kept me together. So we kept talking that evening, and as I thought about that discussion, and for this talk, I wanted to reflect with you a reading from Corinthians 13, which I think captures Senator John McCain. Corinthians 13. Though I should give away to the poor all that I possess, and even give up my body to be burned, if I am without love, it will do me no good whatever. When you think about an individual like Senator McCain, who suffered, who was in prison, was injured, and yet with all that, was able to keep his faith together, his focus on his country, focus on his family. I believe that period of time, those 5 years, is where God molded this fantastic hero, where God took an opportunity to humble this young man who came from a military family. God used those minutes, those hours, those days, those years to put together a human being that we'll be talking about the senator for generations. John McCain was a person who loved, with his energy, who loved all of us, who loved his country. That evening while we were having dinner, he said, when we get back to Phoenix, we need to get together and have dinner. And of course, back then I was pretty cocky. So I said, well, Congressman, I know a number of congressmen and I know a couple of senators, and, you know, we always hear that. He says, well, no, when you get back, you give me a date and I'll be there. I said, well, I'm going to invite you to my house. Us Mexican Americans love to cook, and we love to have folks at our homes if you're really going to be a friend. And he chuckled. So a couple of months later, when I got back home, we called, set up a dinner at the house. And of course, I was preparing carne asada, frijolitos, arroz, tortillas, and all the stuff that you all know about, and my homemade salsa. And I get a call from his office. They say he's running late. So I asked, what's the problem? I said, well, it's his birthday. He wanted to spend a little bit of time with his family. Sorry, Cindy. And of course, I panic and say, you know, if he wants to cancel, I understand, please. They said, no. He made it very clear to us, he's going to your house tonight to have dinner. So I scrambled and got a mariachi group. I figured I got to do something really good. Mexican food's not going to get me there. And luckily, they got there about 10 minutes before he arrived. So when Cindy and the congressman then walk into my house, the kitchen, the mariachi started playing. They sing in the mañanitas, which is a traditional Mexican birthday song in our culture. And of course, John and Cindy lit up, and it was a great evening, and we enjoyed the night. That's Senator John McCain. Keeps his word. That's the senator that we've had all these years that sometimes we beat up on. That's the senator that I hope people can embrace what he stood for our country. And yes, he was a maverick. In his first senatorial campaign, I get a call, and it's him on the phone. I'm with Father Tony, a dear friend of mine, and they say you got the congressman on the phone. I don't know how he tracked me down, but we're in a restaurant. So I get the phone, and he says, Tommy, I'm running for the U.S. Senate. I'm going to launch, blah, blah, blah. You know, John, he was going 100 miles an hour. So I'm going like, okay. And then he says, I want you to co-chair my campaign. I said, well, John, you know I'm a Democrat. I'm not sure that's going to help you with your Republican campaign. I said, I don't care. You're my friend. I want you to co-chair it. I said, well, let me sleep on it. No. You give me an answer right now, yes or no? And of course, I said yes. Once again, Senator John McCain goes over to the other side. And don't forget, I was like an activist back then. I was running Chicanos por la Causa. I mean, we were not the most liberal organization or the most conservative organization in the country. And we go back and forth with John. You either were a friend or not. And at the end of the day, we could go a couple of years without seeing each other. But when we did, it was like old home week. I mean, he was warm. He was energy. I mean, he was going 100 miles an hour, but yet he made time to be with you. And then the second time, we get a call, Elvira and I, to come to Las Vegas. And this is, of course, when he's in his presidential campaign. And we end up in Las Vegas with his two right-hand folks that have always run his campaigns, which I have the greatest respect for. So we do the quick chit-chat, and then John says, I want you to speak on my behalf at the Republican convention. I said, Senator, I want to remind you I'm a Democrat. I don't care. I want you there. So you're my friend. I want you there. I said, yes, I'll be there. He said, well, he says, with a big smile on his face, watch out when you start your car. I said, okay, Senator. I'll do that. So John kind of put me out on the national scene. And I must confess, he did a number of things that I could stand here all day and share with you different stories. I will tell you that one time when we met is when Megan was on the TV program, and I don't even remember the name of the TV program, Megan, but he said, well, you know, Megan's on TV now, and blah, blah, blah. I go, yeah, okay. Do you see her? No, Senator, I don't watch TV that much. Well, you start watching her. Okay. So that was our great senator. As we were walking out, he asked my wife, Elvira, he says, Elvira, I got a question for you. If I put a woman on our ticket as vice president, what do you think about that? Well, my wife isn't the type that holds back. She's a Mexican from Mexico City, and they have a tendency of just telling you how it is. And of course, the senator liked that. So she turns and she says, well, I really don't care if it's a man or a woman. If something happens to you, I want to make sure that person can run the country. So John looked at her and says, okay. And he looked at his two guys, and of course we walked out. Needless to say, we heard later who had selected. But again, regardless, there was the senator again, taking the risk of putting forth a woman for vice president of this great country of ours. So it's of no surprise. It's of no surprise also that he got together with Kennedy to push for immigration reform. Because when he talked about immigration, it wasn't so much the politics of it. He would say, you know what, I can't believe these families that come from another country, from Mexico, from Central America to work, cutting our grass, feeding us, bringing in the labor force that we need, and now we turn on them? That really struck at the heart of what he thought our great country was about. I believe it cost him a presidential campaign. So to me, it's very dear what the senator is about. To me, John really did reflect our country in its true form. My father is a Marine, passed away in February. Once a Marine, always a Marine, he'd say. Got wounded in Guam, a Purple Heart. When he talked about John McCain, he said, he understands us. He understands us. And I must confess, he did understand us. He understood all of us, whether it was white, black, brown, Asian. To him, it didn't make any difference. What he knew is that we all make America great. We all make America great. So I hope that in his legacy, the senators, governors, mayors, city council members, elected officials embrace the thought of love, because John reflected love and love of a strong man. And that is nowadays hard to come by. So his legacy will go on for generations, because people will talk about Senator John McCain as one of the greatest heroes in our lifetime. And with that, if you permit me, read Timothy 2. As for me, my life is already being poured away as a libation, and the time has come for me to depart. I have fought the good fight to the end. I have run the race to the finish. I have kept the faith. My dear friend, vaya con Dios. Gracias.
fell in love with my country when I was a prisoner in someone else's. Senator McCain spoke these heartfelt words as he accepted the Republican nomination for president in 2008. They were the words of an authentic American hero. We all know how the story goes. A fiery Navy pilot shot down by the North Vietnamese over a lake near Hanoi. As his plane spun out of control, he bailed out just in time to plunge into the lake below. That pilot, a young John McCain, was taken hostage as a prisoner of war, where he spent more than 5.5 years, almost 2,000 days. He would endure countless beatings, torture, solitary confinement, and mental and emotional anguish that none of us will ever have to endure. After getting to know Senator McCain, I felt compelled to visit Vietnam. I wanted to see the places where the will of John McCain was tested and forged. I saw the lake. I walked the steps. I sat in the cell. And the ordeal that my friend survived became all the more real. Many people might wonder what a young African-American kid from Minnesota and a highly decorated Vietnam War hero turned United States Senator might have in common. Well, I thought of a few. I'm black, he was white. I'm young, he wasn't so young. He lived with physical limitations brought on by war. I'm a professional athlete. He ran for president, I run out of bounds. He was the epitome of toughness, and I do everything I can to avoid contact. I have flowing locks, and well, he didn't. How does this unlikely pair become friends? I've asked myself the same question. But do you know what the answer is? That's just who he is. Over the several years, I had the privilege of spending time with Senator McCain. Sometimes it was just a visit to our practices. Other times it was him texting and saying, "Oh, you need to pick it up this Sunday." I'm thankful that through these moments, the opportunity that we had to share our lives, and more importantly, our stories. While from very different worlds, we developed a meaningful friendship. And this highlights the very rare and very special qualities of Senator McCain that I came to deeply admire. He didn't judge individuals based on the color of their skin, their gender, their backgrounds, their political affiliations, or their bank accounts. He evaluated them on the merits of their character and the contents of their hearts. He judged them on the work they put in and the principles they live by. It was this approach to humanity that made Senator John McCain so respected by countless people around the world, including me. His accomplishments were many: U.S. Senator, presidential candidate, statesman, warrior, and hero. His work ethic, tireless. His fight, legendary. But what made Senator McCain so special was that he cared about the substance of my heart, more so than where I came from. While some might find our friendship out of the ordinary, it was a perfect example of what made him an iconic figure of American politics and service to fellow man. He celebrated differences. He embraced humanity, championed what was true and just, and saw people for who they were. Yes, ours was an unlikely friendship, but it's one that I will always cherish. I've had the honor of attending several of the Sedona forums hosted by Senator McCain and his remarkable wife, Cindy. There were world leaders in politics, business, science, and education to discuss the most pressing matters of our time. Issues like healthcare, global warming, technology, and human trafficking. These leaders gathered to find real solutions, and they gathered because Senator McCain asked them to be there. His devotion to making Arizona, the United States, and the whole world a better place for everyone has inspired countless leaders, like those at the Sedona Forums. I'm confident his legacy of devotion and to the common good will continue to inspire people around the world long after today. A few years ago, He was kind enough to take me on a personal tour of the U.S. Senate. It was obvious that Senator McCain was highly regarded. He believed to be right and was good regardless of which political side of the aisle his opinion fell on. I saw how respected he was and how much admiration he commanded from people from across the political spectrum. But that admiration wasn't surprising, because Senator McCain was known as a man of integrity and conviction. A man who at times, just as he sacrificed himself for his fellow POWs in Vietnam, willingly chose to sacrifice his own political gains in order to accomplish what he believed was best for all. As a result of this type of sacrifice, he may have lost the support of a political ally here and there, but he gained the respect and admiration of an entire nation. In closing, I'd like to honor the love I saw in Senator McCain. He loved the people of Arizona, serving them passionately and diligently for decades. He took that same love to Washington and boldly advocated for the freedoms and liberties he had grown to love as a young Navy pilot. But the love I saw most was the love he had for his wife, Cindy, and his children. I heard him speak about them often, and the love always came pouring through in every word. Senator McCain, it's been a true honor to call you friend. Your toughness and bravery inspired us. Your sacrifice enriched our lives. Your devotion to the people of Arizona, our nation, and your convictions won our admiration. Your love set an example for all of us to follow. Jackie Robinson once said, "A life is not important except in the impact that it has on other lives." Senator McCain, we will miss the blessings of being in your presence, but we will never forget the impact you had on the world, and more importantly, on each of the lives that you touched. We are all better for having known you. Rest in peace, my friend.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democrat. And I love John McCain. I have had the dubious honor over the years of giving some eulogies for fine women and men that I've admired. But Lindsay, this one's hard. The three men who have spoken before me, I think, captured John, different aspects of John, in a way that only someone close to him could understand. But the way I look at it, the way I thought about it, was that I always thought of John as a brother. We had a hell of a lot of family fights. We go back a long way. I was a young United States Senator. I got elected when I was 29, and I had the dubious distinction of being put on the Foreign Relations Committee, which the next youngest person was 14 years older than me. And I spent a lot of time traveling the world because I was assigned a responsibility. My colleagues in the Senate know I was chairman of the European Affairs Subcommittee. So I spent a lot of time on NATO and then the Soviet Union. And along came a guy a couple years later, a guy I knew of, admired from afar, your husband, who had been a prisoner of war, who had endured enormous, enormous pain and suffering, and demonstrated the code, the McCain Code. People don't think much about it today, but imagine having already known the pain you were likely to endure, and being offered the opportunity to go home. But saying no, as the son can tell you, the Navy, last one in, last one out. So I knew of John. And John became the Navy liaison officer in the United States Senate. There was an office, then it used to be on the basement floor, of members of the military who are assigned to senators when they travel abroad to meet with heads of state or other foreign dignitaries. And John had been recently released from a Hanoi Hilton, a genuine hero, and he became the Navy liaison. For some reason, we hit it off from the beginning. We were both full of dreams and ambitions and an overwhelming desire to make the time we had there worthwhile, to try to do the right thing, to think about how we could make things better for the country we love so much. And John and I ended up traveling. Every time I went anywhere, I took John with me, or John took me with him. And we were in China, Japan, Russia, Germany, France, England, Turkey, all over the world. Tens of thousands of miles. And we would sit on that plane, and late in the night, when everyone else was asleep, and just talk, getting to know one another. We talk about family. We talk about politics. We talk about international relations. We talk about promise, the promise of America, because we're both cockeyed optimists and really believe that there's not a single thing beyond the capacity of this country. I mean, for real, not a single thing. And when you get to know another woman or man, you get to know their hopes and their fears. You get to know their family even before you meet them. You get to know how they feel about really important things. We talked about everything except captivity and the loss of my family, which had just occurred, my wife and daughter. Only two things we didn't talk about. But I found that it wasn't too long into John's duties that Jill and I got married, and Jill is here with me today. 5 years I had been a single dad, and no man deserves one great love, let alone two. And I met Jill, who changed my life, and she fell in love with him, and he with her. He'd always call her, as Lindsay later would travel with, he'd call her Jilly. And matter of fact, when they'd get bored being with me on these trips, I remember going to see Karam and Lise in Greece, and he said, "Why don't I just take Jill to dinner?" I later learned that they're down on a cafe at the port, and he has her dancing on top of a cement table drinking ouzo. Not a joke. Jilly. Right, Jilly? So, we got to know each other well, and he loved my son Bo and my son Hunt. As a young man, he came up to my house. He'd come up to Wilmington, and out of this grew a great friendship that transcended whatever political differences we had or later developed, because above all, we understood the same thing. All politics is personal. It's all about trust. And I trusted John with my life, and I would, and I think he would trust me with his. We both knew then from our different experiences that, and as our life progressed, we learned even more, that there are times when life can be so cruel, pain so blinding, it's hard to see anything else. The disease that took John's life took our mutual friend's Teddy's life, the exact same disease 9 years ago, a couple days ago. And 3 years ago, it took my beautiful son Bo's life. It's brutal. It's relentless. It's unforgiving. And it takes so much from those we love and from the families who love them that in order to survive, we have to remember how they lived, not how they died. I carry with me an image of Bo sitting out in a little lake we live on, starting a motor on a little boat and smiling and waving. Not the last days. I'm sure Vicki Kennedy has her own image, maybe seeing Teddy looking so alive on that sailboat out in the Cape. And for the family, you will all find your own images, whether it's remembering his smile or his laugh or a touch in the shoulder or just running his hand down your cheek. Or just feeling like someone's looking at you and turning and see him just smiling at you from a distance, just looking at you. Or when you saw the sheer joy that crossed his face the moment he knew he was about to get up and take a stage in the Senate floor and start a fight. God, he loved it. So to Cindy and to the kids, Doug, Andy, Sydney, Megan, Jack, Jimmy, Bridget, and I know she's not here, but to Mrs. McCain, we know how difficult it is to bury a child, Mrs. McCain. My heart goes out to you. And I know right now the pain you all are feeling is so sharp and so hollowing. And John's absence is all-consuming for all of you right now. It's like being sucked into a black hole inside your chest. And it's frightening. But I know something else, unfortunately, from experience. That there's nothing anyone can say or do to ease the pain right now. But I pray you take some comfort knowing that because you shared John with all of us your whole life, the world now shares with you the ache of John's death. Look around this magnificent church. Look what you saw coming at the state capitol yesterday. It's hard to stand there. But part of it was. At least it was for me with Bo standing in the state capitol. You knew. It was genuine. It was deep. He touched so many lives. And I've gotten calls, not just because people knew we were friends, not just from people around the country, but leaders around the world calling me. Megan, I'm getting all these sympathy letters. I mean, hundreds of them, and tweets. Character is destiny. John had character. While others will miss his leadership and his passion, even his stubbornness, you're going to miss that hand on your shoulder. The family, you're going to miss the man, this faithful man, as he was, who you would literally, not figuratively, give his life for you. And for that, there's no balm, but time. Time in your memories of a life lived well and lived fully. But I make you a promise. I promise you. The time will come. Because what's going to happen is 6 months will go by and everybody's going to think, well, it's past. but you're going to ride by that field or smell that fragrance or see that flashing image. And you're going to feel like you did the day you got the news. But you know you're going to make it when the image of your dad, your husband, your friend crosses your mind and a smile comes to your lip before a tear to your eye. That's when you know. And I promise you, I give you my word, I promise you, this I know. That day will come. That day will come. You know, I'm sure my former colleagues and all who work with John, I'm sure there's people who have said to you, not only now, but the last 10 years, explain this guy to me. Right? Explain this guy to me. Because as they looked at him, in one sense they admired him, but in one sense, the way things have changed so much in America, they look at him as if John came from another age, that he lived by a different code, an ancient, antiquated code where honor, courage, character, integrity, duty, where it mattered, because that was obvious how John lived his life. But the truth is, John's code was ageless, is ageless. When you talked earlier, Grant, you talked about values. It wasn't about politics with John. He could disagree on substance, but it was the underlying values that animated everything John did. Everything he was could come to a different conclusion. But where he'd part company with you, if you lack the basic values of decency, respect, knowing that this project is bigger than yourself. John's story is the American story. That's not hyperbole. It sounds like it's the American story, grounded in respect and decency, basic fairness, the intolerance for the abuse of power. Many of you have traveled the world. Look how the rest of the world until recently looks at us. They look at us as a little naive. We're so fair. We're so decent. We're the naive Americans. But that's who we are. That's who John was. And he could not stand the abuse of power wherever he saw it, in whatever form, in whatever country. It's always about basic values, John: fairness, honesty, dignity, respect, giving hate no safe harbor, leaving no one behind, and understanding that as Americans we're part of something much bigger than ourselves. With John, it was a value set that was neither selfish nor self-serving. John understood that America was first and foremost an idea, audacious and risky, organized around not tribe, but around ideals. Think of how he approached every issue. The ideals that Americans have rallied around for over 200 years, the ideals that the world has repaired to. An idea enshrined in the Constitution. Sounds corny. We hold these truths self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. To John, those words had meaning, as they had for every great patriot that has ever served this country. We both love the Senate. Proudest years of my life for being a United States Senator. And I was honored to be vice president, but being the United States Senator. And we both lamented watching it change. During long debates in the 80s and 90s, as some of the colleagues who were around then would know, I'd always go over and sit next to John, next to his seat. Or he'd come over on the Democratic side and sit next to me. No, I'm not joking. Because we'd sit there and we'd talk to each other. And I can remember the day when I came out to see John, we reminisced about it. It was in '96. And we were about to adjourn for what we call the caucuses. There's a luncheon once a week that all the Democratic senators have lunch together and all the Republican senators. And we both went into our caucus, and coincidentally, we were approached by our caucus leaders with the same thing. It was raised as a discussion. Joe, it doesn't look good you sit next to John all the time on there. Swear to God. Same thing was said to John in your caucus. That's when things began to change for the worse in America, in the Senate. That's when it changed. What happened was, at those times, it was always appropriate to challenge another senator's judgment, but never appropriate to challenge their motive. When you challenge their motive, it's impossible to get to go. If I say you're doing this because you're being paid off, if I say you're doing this because you're not a good Christian, if I say you're doing this because you're this, that, or the other thing, it's impossible to reach consensus. Think about it in your personal lives. But all we do today is attack the oppositions in both parties, their motives, not the substance of their argument. This was the mid-90s. Well, it began to go downhill from there. The last day, John was on the Senate floor. What was he fighting to do? He was fighting to restore what we call regular order, to start to treat one another again like we used to. Senate was never perfect, John. You know that. We were there a long time together. But I'd watch Teddy Kennedy and James O. Eastland fight like hell on civil rights, and they'd go have lunch together down in the Senate dining room. John wanted to see, quote, regular order writ large, get to know one another. You know, John and I were both amused, and I think Lindsay was at one of these events where John and I received two prestigious awards. The last year I was vice president, and then one immediately after, for our dignity and respect we showed to one another. We received an award for civility in public life. There's a college, Allegheny County college puts out this prestigious award every year for bipartisanship. And John and I look at each other and say, what in the hell's going on here? No, not a joke. I say to Senator Flake, that's how it's always supposed to be. You're getting an award? No, I'm serious. Think about this. Getting an award for your civility. Getting an award for bipartisanship. In classic John, I won at Allegheny College. There were hundreds of people there, and we got the award. And John, the Senate was in session, and so he spoke first. And as he walked off the stage and I walked on, he looked at me and said, Joe, don't take it personal, but I just don't want to hear what the hell you have to say. And left. One of John's major campaign people is now with the Senate, with the governor of Ohio, was on this morning. I have a shaving, happened to watch it, and he said that Biden and McCain had this strange relationship. They always seemed to have each other's back. Whenever I was in trouble, John was the first guy there. And I hope I was there for him. And we never hesitate to give each other advice. He'd call me in the middle of a campaign and say, "What the hell did you say that for?" Well, not an issue. Like, you just screwed up, Joe, you know? And I'd occasionally call him. Look, I've been thinking this week about why John's death has hit the country so hard. Yes, he was a long-serving senator with a remarkable record. Yes, he was a two-time presidential candidate who captured the support and imagination of the American people. And yes, John was a war hero who demonstrated extraordinary courage. I think of John, and I must say my son, when I think of Ingersoll's words, when the will defies fear, when duty throws the gauntlet down to fate, when honor scorns to compromise with death, that is heroism. Everybody knows that about John. But I don't think it fully explains why the country has been so taken by John's passing. I think it's something more intangible. I think it's because they knew John believed so deeply and so passionately in the soul of America that he made it easier for them to have confidence and faith in America. His faith in the core values of this nation made them somehow feel it more genuinely themselves. His conviction that we as a country would never walk away from the sacrifices generations of Americans have made to defend liberty and freedom and human dignity around the world. It made average Americans proud of themselves and their country. His belief, and it was deep, that Americans can do anything, withstand anything, achieve anything, was both unflagging and ultimately reassuring if this man believed that so strongly. His capacity that we truly are the world's last best hope, that we're the beacon to the world, that there are principles and ideals greater than ourselves and worth suffering, sacrificing for, and if necessary, dying for. Americans saw how he lived his life that way, and they knew the truth of what he was saying. I just think he gave Americans confidence. John was a hero. His character, courage, honor, integrity. But I think the thing that's understated the most is his optimism. That's what made John special. Made John a giant among all of us. But in my view, John didn't believe that America's future and fate rested on heroes. What we used to talk about, and I liked most about him, is he understood what I hope we all remember. Heroes didn't build this country. Ordinary people being given half a chance are capable of doing extraordinary things. Extraordinary things. John knew ordinary Americans understood that each of us has a duty to defend the integrity, dignity, and birthright of every child. They carry it. That good communities are built by thousands of small acts of decency that Americans, as I speak today, show each other every single day. That buried deep in the DNA of this nation's soul lies a flame that was lit over 200 years ago that each of us carries with us, and each one of us has the capacity, the responsibility, and we can screw up the courage to ensure that's not extinguished. And it's 1,000 little things that make us different. The bottom line was, I think John believed in us. I think he believed in the American people. Not just all the preambles, the Constitution. He believed in the American people. All 325 million of us. Even though John is no longer with us, he left us pretty clear instructions. Quote, believe always in the promise and greatness of America, because nothing is inevitable here. Close to the last thing John said to the whole nation as he knew he was about to depart. That's what he wanted America to understand. Not to build his legacy, he wanted America to remind them to understand. I think John's legacy is going to continue to inspire and challenge generations of leaders as they step forward. And John McCain's impact on America is not over. It's not hyperbole. It is not over. I don't think it's even close. Cindy, John owed so much of what he was to you. You were his ballast. When I was ever with you both, I could just see how he looked at you. Jill's the one when we were in Hawaii and he first met you there, he kept staring at you, and Jill finally said, go up and talk to her. And Doug and Andy, Sydney, Megan, Jack, Jimmy, Bridget, you may not have had your father as long as you would have liked, but you got from him everything you need to pursue your own dreams, to follow the course of your own spirit. You are a living legacy, not hyperbole. You're a living legacy and proof of John McCain's success. Now John's going to take his rightful place in a long line of extraordinary leaders in this nation's history who in their time and in their way stood for freedom and stood for liberty and have made the American story the most improbable and the most hopeful and the most enduring story on earth. I know John said he hoped he played a small part in that story. John, you did much more than that, my friend. To paraphrase Shakespeare, we shall not see his like again.
The second reading is from 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. For I am already being poured out like a drink offering, and the time for my departure is near. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing.
Mountains, deserts, and streams, the rise of Dos Cabezas, and the outlaws I see in my dreams. I love you, Arizona. Superstitions and all, the warmth you give at sunrise, your sunsets put music in us all. Ooh, Arizona, you're the magic in me. sage and cactus blooming, and the smell of the rain on your skin. Ooh, Arizona, you're the magic in me. Ooh, Arizona, you're the lifeblood of me.
Jesus, at the final meal he shared with his friends, charged them, remember me. Remember me in the breaking of the bread. Bread has to be broken to be shared. We are celebrating today the life of a man who unselfishly was broken that we might be one again. John McCain, our brother, Jesus' brother. To remember, to bring together John McCain, I invite you to share the words of Henry Scott Holland. Laugh as we always laughed at jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever that household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without a trace of shadow on it. We pray, Lord God, may John McCain's vision be in our eyes, his voice in our words and our tongue, his listening to the needs of others in our ears, his love for his country in our hearts. Bless you, John McCain. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
As we come to a close, I'd like to read some words that were beautifully written by his daughter, Megan. My father is gone, and I miss him as only an adoring daughter can. But in this loss and in this sorrow, I take comfort in this. John McCain, hero of the Republic, and to his little girl, wakes today to something more glorious than anything on this earth. Today, the warrior enters his true and eternal life, greeted by those who have gone before him. And she writes, rising to meet the author of all things. We will grieve, we will mourn, but I want you to think about her words. In this very moment, Senator John McCain is in heaven with God the Father and Jesus the Son. No more cancer, no more pain, no more sickness, no more burdens of this world. In fact, his biggest concern is probably, what channel do I have to find in heaven in order to watch Larry play on Sundays? All joking aside, he's a free man and he's more alive than he's ever been. See, Senator McCain professed Christianity. And here's the hope in what Senator McCain believed. He knew Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. He knew Romans 6:23. That the wages of sin was death, but the gift of God was eternal life through his son, Jesus Christ. So the hope that we have is the good news that Senator John McCain believed this passage from John 3:16. That for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that who believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. When we grieve and when we mourn, understand that he has eternal life and he is with the Father in heaven because of his faith in Jesus Christ. That is something to find comfort in. That is the reason why Megan can write these words so beautifully. Let us pray together. Father, as we leave from this place, we ask you to give comfort to Cindy and the family. As Vice President Joe Biden said, there will be days that the freshness of this lostness hits them hard, Father. And in those moments, Lord, when they find themselves by themselves mourning this deep pain and sorrow, will you comfort them, God? Will you give them the strength they need to walk every single day? And God, as we mourn, as your scripture says, we mourn differently with those that have hope, because Senator John McCain believed that you sent your only son to walk this earth and live a sinless life, to die on the cross for our sins, for the things that we deserved. And he believed that Jesus Christ was put in the tomb and he rose again, and he defeated death. That is a reason to celebrate, and that is a reason for us to have comfort. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I want to thank you all again on the behalf of the McCain family for being here and supporting them. At this moment, we're going to ask you to stay seated until the entire family has exited the building.
saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway. More, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall, and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside,